Call this meeting to order. Please stand and for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Ms. Dong.
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Present.
Ms. Hernandez. Ms. Nunez. Ms. Quintero.
Present. Can I have approval of the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
I second the motion.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez. Ms. Nunez. Ms. Quintero.
Aye. Thank you. Do we have any governing board comments? Ms. Dung?
Not at this time.
Mr. Taylor?
I just want to welcome everyone back from a nice, long fall break. I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Happy you're back. It's like, we're always happy you come back. I just wanted to announce that there'll be a meeting at Lawford Middle School, October the 27th, with the Pima County Department of Environmental Quality. It's an open house public hearing between 5:30 and 7:30 regarding a facility that's going to be built at 7345 East Valencia. There's a company that wants to build a facility, a sterilization facility that will emit ethylene oxide into the air. So if you all want to go and voice your concerns, that would be helpful. Thank you. That is all I have. Hello, Ms. Nunez. Maybe not. Can she hear me? Hello? Ms. Nunez?
Hi.
Hi, there you are.
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Quintero, members of the audience. I'd like to start by welcoming everyone back from our fall break as well. We'll pull up the superintendent's report. I just want to start by recognizing our Sierra students who visit our Sunnyside High School. To get ready for high school, this is the time of the year where 8th graders visit our schools. They actually do different visits to get to know their campuses, and so we had our 8th grade students from Sierra 2-8 who toured Sunnyside High School this morning. Students were able to visit all the CTE courses and offered at Sunnyside, and also enjoyed a performance by Sunnyside Mariachi and their folklorico group. So it was really nice to have them all participate. So see that feeder pattern in action. We also have SUSD and the U of A partnership reignited. So today, we had distinguished guests from the University of Arizona who visited Desert View High School today to reignite a partnership and conversations to strengthen the college-going culture for students here within our district. The highlight of the afternoon was hearing from the Desert View High School class of 2020 graduate at Siri Palomares. She's definitely one of the, she's a student from one of the student advisory, has been very active, who's a U of A student is there, who shared her experiences as a high school student and what helped her find her college pathway. Atsiri is a U of A nutritional science student, and we can't wait to see what she will accomplish. Amazing young woman. So congratulations, Atsiri, for your wonderful representation at this meeting this afternoon. We also have alumni sponsorship spotlight. Speaking of former SUSD students who are doing amazing things, Sunnyside High School class of 2013 graduate Gustavo Noriega was recently featured in the U of A alumni newsletter. He shared that as a first-generation college student, he hadn't considered attending college until high school required him to submit a college application. Gustavo graduated with a Bachelor's of Architecture in 2020 and is now a design professional at HOK in Washington, D.C. In addition to his work in Washington, he also is working on the design of an Orlando Health Children's Pavilion in Florida. So our students are doing wonderful things. Congratulations to all your wonderful work, Gustavo. Thank you. That concludes our superintendent's report.
Awesome, thank you. have an amazing recognition. Would you all like to step down?
We'll have
Mr. Padilla.
Mr. Padilla come up first. And then we'll read.
No.
Oh, first? Okay.
You wanted to say a few words?
Good evening, Governing Board, President Quintero, Superintendent Holmes. Good evening to the audience. I'm very excited to be here. I am the director of the Native American Education Program. It's my first year. I'm very excited to be here this evening for a very special recognition of an artist, of an alumni, and of someone who's been a great collaborative partner. Today we are celebrating the reveal of our new program logo, which has been done in collaboration with multiple tribal members in our community, with an artist who comes from our own school district, and we're very proud. I want to thank the governing board for this opportunity, and we'd like to recognize at this moment Miss Rowena Carlisle. If you could come on up. So a primary goal of our program is to offer the best supports to our Native American students, the best supports possible. To do this, collaboration is critical, and today's recognition is an example of what's possible when we all come together with one common goal. And Ms. Rowena, and I don't know if we could get maybe the logo to be projected, just want to present this to you in recognition of appreciation for your artistic contribution to our Native American program logo. Thank you so much for your effort, your heart, and it's an honor to work with you. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand this to you. Ms. Rowena, again, has a very special representation that was a combination of collaboration in multiple tribal members of how this logo came about, and the most authentic way is to hand her the mic so she can talk about some of the pieces that are symbolic to this logo.
Skakadinik, Anya Apchagik, Rowena Carlisle, Amacha Wakjikshan. Good evening, my name is Rowena Carlisle, and I come from Wak, which is our reservation around the Sanavir Church. That's where I reside, and that's where I was born and grew up. I want to thank you so much. I wasn't expecting all of this. But one of the things that I was asked to do was kind of to describe what this logo is representing. And so we're taught when we are speaking to the people that we speak from our heart, but I know there's a schedule, so I'm going to stick to the script. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. I was asked to write a description of each part of it, of how I came to the conclusion of this final logo. So it says, there are many interpretations that can come from this image. For me, the meaning behind each part is symbolic to our life and education and to the students that we serve. Education, knowledge, is a lifelong learning tool that begins in the womb to the growth into elders. This image is made to represent all students that root from various tribes. A little of each tribe that are most represented in Sunnyside District and guides was utilized to create this one image. Visually, you can see 3 birds clearly within the circle around them. The circle is important to many tribes. It represents a variety of meanings. Circles are also represented in every part of our natural surroundings: the earth, the sun, the moon, flowers, flower centers, tree trunks, and etc. Circles connect us to each other. This specific circle is protecting the 3 birds and keeping us focused on what is within the circle. The three birds are quails. In autumn, we call them kakachu. They are three different sizes. This can represent different parts of our lives, such as the family, a child, mother, and father, or our growth in elementary, middle, and high school, or our guidance, student, teachers, and advisors. One of the most important things to know is that we are never alone. It portrays the support that we have for one another as teachers, staff, parents, and students. In autumn legends, the kakachu represents community. When Coyote angers the kakachu for doing something immature, they come together and think of a plan to teach him a lesson. In our normal day in life, when we come across the quail in the desert, they are never alone. They are always traveling in twos or with their family. They represent community and unity. On one side of the circle, there are steps, which is on the left side. These represent mountains. During our growth in life, there are always situations and obstacles that we have to get through. These represent those times in our lives that we may be struggling, where we need to venture our way up to mountains to reach our goals. When we look at the bigger picture and we pay attention to the shapes, on the right side is the moon and on the left side is the sun. These two most respected entities that we cannot survive without are requested to be included by the Yaqui. The three colors that are embraced are the colors of the three high schools that are within Sunnyside District: Sunnyside High School and Desert View High School and Star. Our ultimate goal is to get all students to that point of graduation where they complete their general education studies. As those matured students have been prepared academically and leave, new younger students are just beginning their educational career. It's a cycle. Lastly, if you haven't noticed, the image is created with only one line, the black line. In this image, it's the gray line. This is to represent our connection to one another. We are all a part of the circle, and we each have a role that is important to the students and their growth to become productive and contributing individuals in our various societies. So we are all represented somehow in this image. The end.
Thank you, Ms. Rowena, and thank you for your teamwork. We look forward to many more collaborations, and thank you for being a role model to our students of what's possible with hard work, perseverance, and talent. And I know we have a description to read as well. It's going to highlight a little bit about Ms. Rowena. Just in celebration of tonight's event, just want to let you know our first project with our new logo was out of the thought of safety. So we have masks for every Native American student in our school district, and for all of you who are in attendance today, we have one for you for being here. Thank you so much. Hope you accept it on our behalf, and thank you for your time. And Governing Board, thank you for the opportunity. Ms. Rowena, thank you for your special effort. We're super grateful and honored. Thank you.
And the Sunnyside Unified School District Governing Board would like to recognize Ms. Serena Carlisle from San Javier Education Center. This evening, we would like to recognize Ms. Serena Carlisle for her collaboration and artistic contribution to our Native American education program's new logo. In addition to being an amazing artist, Ms. Carlisle is also a leader in her community. She currently serves as an administration assistant at the San Javier Education Center, where she coordinates authentic learning opportunities for the O'odham youth. She is also a product of our Sunnyside Unified School District, having attending Elvira, Santa Clara, and Challenger Middle School, and graduated from Desert View High School in 2005. She attended the Institute of the American Indian Arts and earned her bachelor's degree in Indigenous Liberal Studies. Thank you for your creative perspective and support for our Native American students and education program. We look forward to future projects. I don't know. Okay.
You get the wide angle lens? We now have called to the audience, and I'll read the norms. So we can set a good example for our students. We communicate respectfully with our words, tone, and body language. Respect others by listening to their comments and points of view. Professionally disagree when communicating different points of view. And focus your comments on specific issues without using individual names. Thank you. Jasmine?
Hello, it's me again. Okay, so last time you were talking about the child who were positive COVID in the classroom. And quote, thank goodness everyone were wearing the mask, so no one in the class got infected, end quote. The truth about COVID in children, there is only 0.001% death rate in 5 to 14 years age group, and 0.003% rate in 15 to 19 age group. Besides, I'm not sure if you're aware that COVID spread through ACE2 receptors, which in children naturally have capability of less spreading due to lack of ACE2 receptors in their nostril. Most of children who test positive were infected from their family members, not from school environment. This is a fact, and it is not the mask as you claim. Furthermore, there is a 99.9% survival rate for this virus. Anyone here is a medical doctor? I don't think so, which means that all of you are practicing medical without a license. When you tell anyone that they have to wear a mask, it is criminal offense in Arizona and in every state that jail time involved. Why mask mandate in PIMA supervisor board meeting failed in past 4 times, which last one is on October 5th. Did you read anything or hear anything about that? And they have at least 2 medical doctors on their panel. They yet failed because the mask does not work. How much more information you need to see the fact? You are all in violation of parental right. Under ARS 1.0601 and 1.602 also violate Arizona Child Law, ARS 8.201 and ARS 13.3623 Child Abuse, which carry a class 4, 5, and 6 felony. You are lying through your teeth that you care about children's health. In fact, you care about power and how you were perceived by others. If you care about children's health, you would be loud and strong about opposed mask in children who have only 0.001% risk of dying. Instead, you support masks to risk children's health with hypoxia, which is that number 1, less oxygen in their brain. RSV, which is everywhere, is going to happen right now, RSV infection. And other than issue, which more health issue, which have great risk than COVID. I hope you all believe in God, because He is watching you. And I hope in my heart that God will forgive what you act to their children. Thank you.
Julie Stone?
Hello. Good evening. My name is Julie Stone. I'm a teacher at Sierra 28. I'm speaking on behalf of many teachers in my building. I noticed you were all provided with water bottles this evening. My concern tonight is regarding the hydration of our students. In recent weeks, our schools have been replacing all of the traditional water fountains with high-tech motion-activated water bottle refill stations. The refill stations do not have the option for students to sip water, but only to refill. Schools are not supplying water bottles to students who don't have them, which means many students are simply going all day without hydration. I want to be clear that teachers were not consulted about this decision to remove all of the traditional bubblers, as they are called, from our schools. The expectation, derived from COVID response protocols, is that each student bring a refillable water bottle. Had anyone asked the teachers, particularly middle school teachers, if this was a viable, sustainable plan, we would have told you absolutely not. Students in Sunnyside District have relied upon bubbler fountains for decades for their all-day hydration. Many of them forget a pencil, even their laptops, on a regular basis. Medical professionals may tell you that here in the desert, they would be more concerned with students being hydrated than the low risk of contracting COVID from contact with a water fountain that is sanitized regularly and used properly. Why are teachers upset? Daily, we're faced with two choices. Either provide a cup or bottle at our own expense, or watch dozens of our students go thirsty all day while they're trying to learn. As a mother of 3 who wears a mask all day and fully vaccinated, who believes in masks, I can tell you I do not agree with this decision and I cannot support it. My own children go to Flowing Wells, where all the bubblers have been turned back on and where they still wear masks all day. Government buildings have also turned their bubblers back on. Where is the data that proves COVID is widely spread through the use of bubblers that are sanitized regularly and used properly? Maslow's hierarchy of needs prioritizes physiological needs as the base for all other needs for a child's development. When thirsty, our kids are simply not learning as effectively. I ask this be taken into consideration by all staff, all parents, as well as Mr. Holmes and our school board. Thank you.
Ms. Dong.
Mr. Holmes, could you bring us back a report, it might even be a Friday report, on this issue? Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I second the motion.
Roll call.
Ms. Dong,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez, Ms. Nunez. Ms. Nunez.
Aye.
Ms. Quintero.
Aye. Thank you. Our first presentation is the City of Tucson Fire Department, proposal to purchase 2.75 acres of vacant property.
Thank you, Ms. Quintero. Tonight we have a representative from the City of Tucson Fire Department who's going to present to the governing board a proposal for their expressing their interest in acquiring a 2.75 acre parcel of vacant land that the district has owned since July 1998. Assistant Chief Joseph Galata is here tonight to make the presentation. Any questions you may have, he will be more than happy to address them. So.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Galata. I'm with the City of Tucson Fire Department. With me is Jeffrey Whiting. He represents the City Manager's Office. It's my honor to be able to be in front of you today. Chair Quintero, Supervising Chair, Board Chairs, and Supervisor Holmes, the Tucson Fire Department is in desperate need right now of rebuilding our fire stations, and we were able to get a lot of money from the city through Tucson Delivers programs. One of those stations is in your community. It provides support to the community of Sunnyside. It is Fire Station 14. That fire station is located on Drexel on Liberty between 6th and 12th off of Drexel. That fire station is one of the busiest fire stations in the nation. When we look at fire station locations, we look at a geographic site of our locations. I guess I should have asked, did you all have opportunity to look over the document that I sent? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I have copies here if anybody would like a copy to have in front of them. No? Okay, great. We look at the entire city and we place our fire stations geographically based on the call volumes and where we have our response needs. Fire Station 14 is ideally placed for the area of Station 14's first response. The boundaries for Station 14 are Irvington to the north, Park to the east, I-10 to the west, and Valencia to the south. And so when we were looking at what we could do with Fire Station 14, it's a 45-year-old fire station that is in the middle of a residential neighborhood. It is landlocked on a residential lot. We cannot build any more on there. We're jamming people in there. We have fire crews parking emergency response vehicles outside because we don't have room inside the fire station. So we have to move off-site. We are extremely limited in where we can move that fire station because our responsibility is to make sure we have a 4 to 6 minute response to the community. So there are sites further west and further east and further south, but they would take us out of our population zone that supports this community. One of the reasons why we're doing this to our fire stations is our fire stations don't have the modern safety and health features that we need incorporated in our fire stations. We're able to do that with either a renovation or a rebuild. And in this case, we're looking at rebuilding Fire Station 14. We need about a 12 to 14,000 square foot fire station to meet the needs of this community. And when we started looking around the area with our real estate division, there's very little land out here that is the right size and in the right location for our needs. And again, like I said, our primary focus for looking at the location is the first response for this community. We did notice this giant big piece of property right there at the corner of Drexel and Nogales Highway, and it got us communicating with your board. We're looking for 2.7 acres approximately to build on that site. Now, you have kind of a unique site because it is a little subdivided with 6th Avenue and it leaves kind of a long, narrow strip. We did look at that strip as an option, but because of the overhead power lines and the fact that we really want to get our fire stations out of residential neighborhoods. We don't want to drive down residential neighborhoods from a safety perspective. We really would like to be responding in and out of a major thoroughfare. One, it helps reduce response times, and two, it improves the safety of those communities. So as we are looking, we're hoping that we are able to do something with the Sunnyside School District Board with this property, because we really don't have a whole lot of other options if we're going to be able to build a new fire station for this community. So I have all the time in the world for your questions, and I'm at your disposal.
Anyone? Ms. Dong?
Yes. There was, when we had this meeting prior, we were having a couple of different thoughts and ideas, and I didn't know how you felt about another section of that property, so as to make sure that we were left intact, enough of an area to build a school there, which we eventually, that's why we've been keeping this property. Right now, there's no growth anywhere, and that includes Sunnyside. But that doesn't say that in 5 to 10 years, we start to see growth again.
Sure.
We don't know. But if we do, that was one of our last prime areas to have a good-sized school there.
Sure.
Matter of fact, that's where we wanted to eventually someday maybe have a high school there, if we have enough growth. And so there was another section there that we had proposed, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at that.
Are you referring to the strip between 6th and, I think it's Massendale? Okay, so yeah, we did look at that strip, and one of the challenges is that the strip is not wide enough for us to respond out onto Drexel, and there's a massive power pole right in the middle of it. And so we wouldn't be allowed to even build right there because of the utility easements that we're going to find right there along there. And if we moved a little further towards the church, it's placing us in the middle of a neighborhood, and it's still not a really good egress for us to get to the main street. That's why we were looking along Nogales, and we would be satisfied with any space along Nogales, however we could structure it to best meet your needs for what you plan on using the property for.
Okay, and just one other question on that, which I understand that would be optimal. Sure. But just one other thought. We just recently leveled one of our elementary schools right down the street on Liberty Elementary School, old Liberty Elementary School. And I was just wondering if that would be a possibility. And the reason for that are two. One, it'll be real close to the bus center, which I'm sure that a lot of calls go to that bus center because of the different things that happen at a bus center.
Sure.
Unfortunately. And the second thing is, it's next to our alternative school. We already have a real good program going there with the construction. And I could foresee some type of program. Of course, there'd be all kinds of negotiations that would have to happen with JTED and some of our students that might want to get into becoming a fireman someday, firewoman, fireperson. And it's right there at that school where we have those kind of things occurring.
Sure.
And so I was just wondering if that would be any possibility because of where it's at, as far as the bus station, and also our alternative school.
Yeah, we certainly would be willing to look at any opportunities that we had. I wasn't aware that there was an opportunity at the school. I'm not exactly sure where it is. I'd have to drive out, kind of take a look at the site.
Yeah, it's just, do you know where, there you are, you know.
Yeah.
Are you at that station?
No, I've worked there in the past, but, so it's further south on Liberty?
It's further north on Liberty.
North, okay.
And you go further north on Liberty, you see the new Liberty, then there's Apollo Middle School.
Okay.
There's Nebraska, and then going towards Irvington, right close to Irvington.
Sure.
Is our alternative school, but right next to that was an elementary school that was one of the first elementary schools in our district that just recently got leveled. It has a huge amount of property.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take a look at that as an alternative, and what we'll do is, we're able to take and pretend we place our fire station there and do a response time study to show us where the impact would be on our emergency responses. So I could certainly work with Mr. Holmes and take a look at that site, absolutely.
Just a thought.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
It's more of a comment. I'm actually very keen on Ms. Dong's idea about placing this station at the Old Liberty site. I work for the Ward 5 Council office, and we get a lot of calls about suspect activity and just activity in general in that area.
Sure.
Recently there was a tragedy that had occurred on the property. And with the station being so close, I think it might having a fire station there might help to kind of clean up the area in terms of the traffic that moves through there. So I'm very intrigued by that idea. But I am also, I did take some time to drive by Station 14 not too long ago, when I did see how small it was. I think you guys are working on like 2 residential lots, it looks like. So it's pretty tiny, so I can understand the frustration of having to operate out of such a small space. So I'm very, very excited to kind of keep this
Outstanding.
this conversation going. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll drive the site tomorrow. Take a look at it.
Do you have a question? Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, what's the timeline you're working off of? What are your hopes about kind of starting and completion of project?
Yes, thank you for the question. If we had the lot today, we would be putting out a design competition in the next 2 weeks. So we have the funds in our program. The station is well due, so as soon as possible. It really is one of our last 2 fire stations that we're trying to nail down property.
Ms. Hernandez?
Question and comment. Just one comment. I've personally taken family members there, and for those who haven't been to Station 14, it is tiny, and there's no room to move anywhere. So I completely understand, and I do think it's probably time to have a bigger place because you are serving a big chunk of our community. Question as far as response time for those that are listening, just so everyone knows, what is the current? Can you remind us what the current response time is, and what would the impact be? You said 4 to 5 to 6 minutes?
Our goal is a 4 to 6 minute response time to the bulk of our, like 90% of our responses in the area. Obviously, we're not going to hit that every time. It would depend. I could do a response study after I know where to kind of physically place the station and just look at what the impact would be. The challenge is if we move too far away, what happens is it's a dominoing effect with the other fire stations. We start to pull them further into our area or this area, having a negative impact in the Park and Ajo area or the Midvale Park area. So, yeah, it's between 4 to 7 minutes, 4 to 6 minutes is our goal. Currently, and I can pull exact response times for Station 14, so I'll get that back to you.
Okay. I think that's pretty much it on my end. I'm excited about the suggestion that Ms. Dong gave, because I think that would be a really big opportunity for obviously one, to give you more space, to also be a good partner to us and our students and give us some opportunity there to see if we can get folks interested in being firemen or firewomen. But I think you also had a...
Yes, I did. Ms. Lizette, do you have a question?
No, I don't have any questions right now. I think they're already all answered.
Okay, thanks. So my questions are, what would happen to the other building that you leave behind?
So it's still city property. The city looks for opportunities to repurpose or put the property on the market. It would be a great place for somebody with a motorhome. Nice
Yeah.
big apparatus bay.
Someone is a workshop heaven. And the other thing is, if you moved off of Nogales Highway, people fly by Nogales Highway. And so I know that you guys have to have special exit out so that you let cars know you're coming out. So that is going to be built in, right?
Yes, it's, we would put a traffic control device right out in front of our station. So as soon as we turned our lights on, all the traffic on Nogales Highway would be stopped and we would exit.
Right. Because I know that you all have a hard time getting out onto Drexel.
Yes.
And the four-way stop at 6th and
It's
Drexel.
very, very dangerous.
Yes, and sometimes people don't listen. So the other thing is community input. Do you have it? I mean, have you reached out to community for public
We've
comment?
reached out through the council office a little bit. We had a meeting with Councilmember Fimbres. I have not reached out to any neighborhood associations, but I'm absolutely willing to and ready to.
And both options, you're looking at both options, right?
Yeah, I'll take a look at the option that you brought up and we'll just continue to see if we can't move forward.
Okay, cool. Ms. Hernandez?
Piggybacking off of what Ms. Quintero said, I would actually really like to see that, just because I know that our neighborhood associations are really involved on what's going on the ground in our streets. So if you can, obviously I don't know what timelines are going to look like, but at some point before you start building, if you could please reach out to the neighborhood associations in the area to see what input they have.
Yeah, we were sort of waiting until we knew where we were going to move.
Oh, no, right, and like if it
don't
could
know.
happen as
Exactly.
well,
Yeah.
that's a really good idea, and I would like to see that.
Yeah, so as an example, we are moving a fire station up north, fire station number 8, and what we did is we actually walked the neighborhood around the existing fire station to let them know, we're moving, but we're still here for you. And then we went around to all the businesses and neighbors of the new area and said, we're gonna be building here, we wanna be good neighbors, what are your concerns? Here's our contact information. If the construction is too loud, or if you have issues with how the fire station's laid out, so we will absolutely, reach out as soon as we have an idea of where we're gonna be able to build.
Right.
Now,
And I want to commend Fire Station 14. I know they're busy. They planted the 20 trees along Liberty in front of Fire Station 14, and they've adopted it through Tucson Clean and Beautiful, so they pick up litter regularly on the 14th of the month. So I don't know why they picked that number, but they did.
Well,
It's like-
Station 14 is quite unique. They adopted their neighborhood. I mean, they will,
Yes.
like you said, they do things in the community a little more than the other fire stations. They're a great role model for the other stations. I have a quick question. Somebody mentioned something about a construction program. Do you guys
Yes.
have a
JTED.
Yes.
JTED program with
Right
construction?
next to the old Liberty, or the old Liberty was in the past.
I'd love to talk to somebody. There may be opportunities where we can do some site visits on some of our construction sites, maybe if it fits into the program, that can give some experiences for the students.
We have our principal down in the back.
She's
Miss
waving.
Sanchez.
Great,
You
wonderful.
might want to connect. But thank you for coming.
Mr. Taylor?
I'm so sorry, we're really difficult.
No, you guys are great.
I think we're easy.
But I love I love the ideas flowing, and I really look forward to what we can do in partnership.
Outstanding. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Mr. Encinas, ARS 15481 and 15491, bond and override expenditure report.
Thank you, President Quintero, board members, Superintendent Holmes. This is an annual requirement by the state ADE, which requires school districts to submit or present a report to its governing board and the community in regards to expenditures made out of an M&O override and bond expenditures. As you very well know, we don't have an override, so there haven't been any override expenditures since 2013, 2014. However, we were fortunate enough to have our community support a $88 million bond fund that was passed in November 2011. And since that time, many projects have been completed and undertaken, and there still remains a small amount of cash that needs to be expended in the near future. In summary, what basically are reported to the governing board is that currently we have sold all of our bonds. The $88 million that the community approved has been sold. Of that $88 million, there's a cash balance with the county treasurer of $4,424,211. Of that amount, $2.1 million is already committed to projects already approved by the board and the bond advisory committee, leaving currently $2.246 million to be spent by the district for any identified projects that the committee, bond advisory committee, will recommend to the board for expenditure. So that still remains to be done to bring back to the governing board some projects that should be funded with the remaining cash. Last year, we spent roughly $1.4 million of bond funds. The majority of those expenditures were in the area of student technology and remodeling renovation. I say student technology, and it's technology because apparently we did spend a substantial amount of the $1.2 million to upgrade our phone system last year. And then our remodeling area there was $244,000 that was spent on the installation of urinal privacy panels district-wide.
All right.
We spent $244,000 on that to address that concern. So other than that, again, we have over $2 million to spend. And unless you have any questions, I'll be more happy to answer. I would ask governing board to accept the report as submitted.
I would, no. Ms. Nunez, no? Okay, awesome. I think you have done a fantastic job keeping us informed of all the money spent.
Yeah.
And I also want to thank the BOC committee
Yes.
for a super job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I think you have a question first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just kind of want to, since we're on the topic of bond and override, I kind of want to gauge the tone of the board in terms of possibly looking at another override proposition
Mr. Holmes.
in the future.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't use this agenda item for this purpose right
Okay.
now, just because of open meeting. Probably it's not agendized that way, so I
Okay.
apologize, Mr. Taylor.
No worries.
Okay.
I'll ask for it.
Okay,
Ms. Dong.
okay, I'd like to make a motion, also thank the BOC for all these years that they've been working so hard and so many hours and so many minutes spent in the evenings doing that. So I also want to thank the BOC, and in doing so, I'd like to move that we approve the bond and override expenditure report for fiscal year 2020, 2021 as submitted.
I second the motion.
Roll call.
Ms. Dawn?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez? Ms. Nunez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye. Thank you. We have a presentation for employee well-being. We do.
Good evening, President Quintero, members of the board. Superintendent Holmes and audience. I'm going to introduce to you our new well-being coordinator. I don't know if you've met Natalia Robinson yet, but she is a gem, and we're very excited about her joining the HR benefits group. And she comes with some experience. She comes from Pima County, which we kind of nabbed her, and she has also spent time working for the Wellness Council of Arizona. And so I'm going to turn it over to Natalia, who is going to go through the process. There she is. Here's the clicker of taking you through the presentation that she prepared to give you an update on where we're at with our goals that we presented to you, seems so long ago, about what we wanted to do for our employees. So I'm turning it over to Natalia.
Thank you. Good evening, President Quintero, members of the Governing Board, Superintendent Holmes. As she mentioned, my name is Natalia Robinson. I'm the Wellbeing Coordinator, and we've come a long way. We've accomplished quite a bit in the last couple of months, so I'd love to go through what we have done and what we have coming up in the future. Maybe. Maybe. Just kidding. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you. So since July, we have accomplished quite a bit. We had our first in-person in quite a while health fair on the 29th of September. We had 58 flu shots administered at that event, which is pretty good considering we're at the end of the flu season. We also had 51 tracking cards submitted. So these are individuals who have attended the event, and they submitted a card just stating that they attended, went around, met our vendors. We had 15 vendors attend, and they were all asked to supply donations so that we could give those out as giveaways, and we did receive 20 of those. Our Call Mental Health app launched in September on the 20th. We are very excited about this one. We began it with the goal of having 20% of our 1,900 employees in Sunnyside School District enrolled within the first 2 months. So we have actually, I updated the stats this morning, and as of today, we actually have 14.5% of our employees enrolled. That's 276 individuals, and of those, 54% are actually using the app, which is pretty good. We want to see that engagement stat go up, and we're at 54%. The most popular feature currently is our music portion of it. It has a lot of really calming music that is great in the classroom as well, which I'm sure teachers appreciate. Our WAC Assembly, I know that's not the greatest acronym, is our Wellbeing Advancement Committee. This is a 20-person committee of individuals who are passionate about well-being and want to share the word and also be involved in the decision-making portion of our well-being program. We have classified, certified PNT and administrators involved in that, and we have had a couple of meetings already, and it has been great hearing the ideas from people who are within the sites. We are also working to establish our well-being boosters. These boosters are individuals who maybe don't want to be quite as involved as our WAC members. Maybe they don't have the time, or they just want to kind of be on the outskirts. But these are people on the ground who can share the word, and if they feel like we need to know something about what our employees need, they can share that with us as well. Our wellbeing inventory is really, it's a running list of vendors, providers, platforms, and resources that we use to provide for our employees and to publicize what we provide to them. These are mostly external resources. As you can see, in July, we started with what our benefits offers primarily, so our health insurance, our dental, our vision, things like that. We also do have some resources within our schools. Apollo and Sunnyside High School have really nice gyms in them, so we want to raise awareness about that. And then we have what we have added since, which is a pretty extensive list, and you can see that it's grown pretty drastically. These may be relationships that were in place already and maybe had gone a little bit dormant, and we reached out to reestablish that relationship, or they may be completely new relationships. So things such as the Wellbeing Program, of course, that is new, and that includes myself in our WAC and our Wellbeing Boosters. This also includes our apps, all of the resources that we've established through them, and they can sometimes refer us to other resources if we need those. Our ongoing partnerships, services, and publications, these are internal and these are updated regularly. They are also available to all of our employees, so it does not matter what their insurance status is. It doesn't have to be through us or through UMR. It is all inclusive, which is something that was very important to us with this well-being program. Our virtual well-being calendar is live. It is ongoing all the time. We are constantly adding and taking away. This announces any publications, apps, newsletters, or deadlines that we have coming up in relation to well-being, HR, or benefits. We also have monthly newsletters. These highlight the monthly health topic. For example, we know October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we give information on what is big that month, as well as anything that is pertinent to the district. We try to tie it into things that relate to our insurance as well. So if they are enrolled in our insurance, it just gives them a little bit more. We did financial information for September, so just little ways to tie it in with our insurance. Our Sunnyside Education Collaboration. This is working to survey employee needs and mental health status anonymously. So currently there's a survey going out to employees where they can say what they need, what they feel is being underserved, or what they feel their mental health status is, and how that's changed because we know COVID has changed things a little bit for us. Our professional development presentations, I am going around to every site, and this is in collaboration with the principals and the vice principals, just to establish familiarity with me as the well-being coordinator, to put well, I would say a face to the name, but a mask to the name, just to get us involved with them and so we can share the information. We are constantly inundated with emails in all of our lives, so to be able to see a face and say, this is what we offer, what do you have questions on, how can we serve you? That is ongoing at this time. Our premium incentive insurance guidance, this is really highlighting the tasks that need to be completed in order for employees to receive the premium incentive discount, which is a $525 savings for them for the following school year on their insurance premium. And we do this in collaboration with benefits to try to increase that awareness and that participation, which has been growing pretty well over the years. So we want to continue that forward momentum. Creating an all-inclusive well-being program is something we are trying to kind of break the stigma on. A lot of times people think well-being is just fitness and nutrition, and it is so much more than that. We want them to know that we have resources available, and we are here to help with fitness, nutrition, mental health, financial well-being is a really big one, professional satisfaction, work-life balance, relationships, and having a sense of purpose. And then our social media presence. We have opted to work with public information to help build a social media presence that can represent our employees and their needs. So we do have a Facebook group at this time, the SUSD employee group, and we do have Instagram capabilities at this time. And that will allow us to put any deadlines if we have job fairs, health fairs, anything related to our employees. Any questions so far?
I did. Ms. Hernandez.
Yes, ma'am.
First off, I'm really excited about this. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. I do have a question because sounds great, but it could also probably seem overwhelming for a normal person that is not as involved in committees. And I'm just curious, how are we, you said you're meeting with school leadership for them to get to know you. Are you also meeting with anyone else that is in direct contact with teachers on a daily basis? Because that's one of my questions. And then the other one, I'm not sure if any of this is also available, any of the literature is available in Spanish, but something that I know is we also have a population of Spanish-speaking employees, and I know we probably can't get everything translated in Spanish, but because we're working with vendors, if we're not doing that, can someone contact them and make sure that they're providing translations? Because that would be super helpful to get that group engaged as well.
Right, absolutely. As far as the languages go, we do have a couple of vendors who have some of the material available in Spanish, but I agree that is definitely something we need to look into, even just translating our basic content over to Spanish. We'll add that to the next WAC meeting. And in terms of the employees, the presentations that we're doing, or that I'm doing, is actually at their PDs. So it's in front of their entire staff. So I arrange it with the principals and the vice principals, but it's at a time when all of their staff are assembled, so I'm able to talk to all of them at the same time. Of course, there's going to be a few that are missed, things like if we have temps or subs or anything like that. But the primary core staff will be addressed at those PDs.
And to follow up on that, how are we communicating with staff that's not in the classrooms as well?
Everything does go out via email. That is the easiest way to get it just widespread. Our hope with the WAC is for them to be the ones to also spread the word verbally. So if we, of course, we know we don't always read all of our emails. We try our darndest, but it doesn't always happen. So if we can also use our ambassadors and our boosters to help spread that word, because word of mouth, it goes a long way in marketing, and that will be, hopefully, be the way that we get to spread word a little bit more.
If you can bring that up in your next WAC meeting.
Absolutely.
Because we have, I mean, we have bus drivers,
Right.
cafeteria workers, some of them who are our employees, but are there populations that would probably want to know what's going on?
Yes. And transportation is a big one because they aren't at a computer. They don't have access to that all the time. One of the things we can also do is set up, because they don't have PDs, but we could set up camp in the transportation office, and as people come through, I will bug them and tell them what we have and what we can offer, because we want that to be an equally served population.
I think something that would be, obviously, someone in the WAC committee, if they want to volunteer to do this, but it'd be really cool if we can, like, maybe engage someone that's super engaged in those departments, and then they can be like the ambassadors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for.
Okay, thank you.
We want everybody involved.
That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Dong?
In following up with that, the food service workers are not Sunnyside District employees. Are they able to utilize this program?
There are a couple of groups that are not at this time. One, because we have a set number, but also just because if they are not paid by the district, it's a little bit of a gray area. So at this time, there is a group, including vendors, who are not eligible for like the call map at this time. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
No.
So for October, these are things that we are rolling out. We have executed a lot, but we want to try to keep things going. So with that forward momentum, in October, this is in the very early stages, we're working on releasing One Drop, which is a disease management program. It focuses on prediabetes, diabetes, high cholesterol, and hypertension, with the big idea being that if we can prevent those, we can prevent cardiac events and heart disease. And we don't want something that is a one-size-fits-all, and that's something that really stood out to us about One Drop, is that their approach is very customizable, it's individualized, because we do have to take things like culture and financial status into account. We can't just tell people to eat the same thing and expect it to fit everybody. With this program, we will send them an eligibility file that has our employees essentially on there, and then employees will be driven to their own portal where they can enroll, and they don't have to prove that they have these conditions. And at that time, they will be categorized essentially, or triaged, where it will determine if they need to be on a program just for hypertension, or maybe there's a combination of those things. And at that time, it takes us out, so they have the privacy. We don't want to be the middleman saying, hey, this is somebody who's suffering with this. We want them to go directly to the source. And once they enroll, they will receive a package that has Bluetooth-capable devices. It has a glucose meter, a blood pressure cuff, and a scale. And those are related specifically to what they need assistance in. And at that time, they can decide if they want to reach out to their coach via text, email, it can be telephone or virtual, and they'll work one-on-one with them around their schedule. We will also receive analytics and reports on the usage, the engagement, which disease states are a little bit more prevalent within our district. In October, we will also be launching Burn Along, which is a virtual fitness app. It has a library of over 7,000 videos as well as live streaming. They're primarily exercise videos ranging from body weight to if you wanted to use weights. They also vary in duration and the fitness level. So we want it to be something that can accommodate all of our employees. They also have financial, nutrition, lifestyle, and meditation videos. Toward the end of October, we will be launching the sign up for our Watch for Health Challenge, which we're very excited about. The Watch for Health Challenge is something that was voted on by WAC. The name and the parameters were selected as a team. This is November 1st through the 30th, and it's a challenge in which employees will see a tracker with different activities, and each activity is assigned a point value. There are some that are related to our Calm app that we launched. There are some that are related to Burn Along, and then there's some that relate back to our insurance if employees have that. But again, it is all inclusive, so if they don't have our insurance, they can still participate. Some of the challenges might be, it's in November, so wear red for diabetes awareness and send us a selfie or send us a food log. And all of these activities, once they complete their 60 points and submit the tracker, they earn a Garmin smartwatch. It's a Garmin Vivo Active 3, which we are very excited about. It's a really neat prize. And the hope is that this will increase our engagement in the apps that we are providing and get people familiar with talking to us and us kind of having this great collaboration going. In December, we will distribute those smartwatches, and that will be our farewell for the holidays. It will also allow them to use those smartwatches during their New Year's resolutions, which we know everybody has those, and over winter break they can toy with that. In February, this is also in the early stages, we are building a preventative care day, and this will hopefully allow employees to get any last minute activities for their premium incentive program done before the deadline in March. So we're working on mobile mammogram, mobile prostate, jet dental. Quest can do lab values with just a finger prick, so they can get that right on site and get all of their lab work done, and that will count toward their premium incentive program. We did go to WAC for some ideas for preventative care, and they also came up with smoking cessation, podiatry, skin cancer screenings, bone density, and diabetes screenings, which we thought were great ideas. And lastly, in March, this is very, very early in its life, the March Madness Step Challenge. This will be voted on again with WAC, and it is a bracket-style challenge. We have heard that there's some rivalries and schools like to compete against each other. So we're working it'll be a step challenge where they can accrue as many steps as possible. It will be percentage-based. And then at the end of the month, it gives them another opportunity to earn the smartwatch. So if they weren't able to earn one in November, they'll have another chance in March. This also allows them to get everything done in time for their premium incentive program. Any questions for me?
Wow, that's amazing.
I like hearing that.
Can I participate in the weight loss? I walk and nothing happens. Any questions, Ms. Nunez? Ms. Nunez, any questions?
No question.
Okay, Ms. Dong?
No, just thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, you've got so much. You just got here, and boy, you hit it running. That's fantastic. I mean, I know that we're lucky to have you here because of all your past experiences with so many different entities. That we are just really fortunate that we have you here, and seeing this presentation tells me that wow, we are definitely lucky to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes? Mr. Nunez.
One, you had an idea, but we've been waiting on you. We've had so many discussions, and we're really excited to have you, and think you are off to a really good start. I'm excited about the WAC committee that you put together. I mean, it seems like everything's kind of falling into place. I do just have one quick question. As far as the mental health part of the opportunities that we are rolling out, besides the Calm app, I know the exercise, I guess, can fall into that, the different apps, but what else is there available as far as mental health? Either services or anything else?
Yeah, we have our EAP program, Dear Oaks, which has they essentially triage you when you contact them, and they'll decide if it's a mental health issue that they can help you with through their counselors. And they do have counselors that are specific to various mental health issues. So it could be something like relationships, it could be maybe some devastating financial situation. And then if they can't assist you, they will refer you out. I know another thing we are looking into is Care Solace, which is if it's something a little bit more urgent, then they can get you in touch with somebody a little bit quicker, so that way you can seek mental assistance there.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Holmes?
Thank you. Appreciate the work you're doing. I know. Thank you. No, but on a side note, I think it's what's really important. I know you have Mr. Smith here in the audience as well. Is really connecting to see if they can actually make
designated times for our transportation, our operations, and our custodial staff. Just so it's less random and maybe we can be more purposeful. And I know we've organized meetings in the past with that subgroup, so I think we can make it a little bit simpler than just waiting in the lounge for that to happen.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the crossing guards. And the crossing guards. Yeah. It's like, yes.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much. Good to meet you. Mr.
Your video
Suspend.
connection was closed, but your phone is still connected.
Our suspend policy, BGB.
I can do it, and then you can speak to the policy if that's okay, Ms. Quintero.
That's fine.
I just the reason we do this, just so the board is aware, is normally we have to have a first, second read before a board, that's before something is approved. The whole purpose of suspending that particular policy, which requires that, is that we can actually fast-track changes at this board meeting. And so the action that we're being asked today is to suspend the policy that requires, as step one, that requires a first and second read. And then we can go to the substance of the policy that we're wanting to approve tonight.
Okay.
So the action right now is to suspend that policy, specifically policy GBD. I'm sorry, I'm
BGB.
inverting BGD, BGB.
BGB. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to move that we approve the suspension of policy BGB, policy adoption.
Do you have a second?
I second the motion.
Roll call?
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez? Ms. Nunez? Ms.
Aye.
Nunez? Ms. Quintero?
Aye. Thank you.
All right, President Quintero, members of the board, Superintendent Holmes, now that you've taken action on approving and suspending policy BGB, we are recommending that the governing board approve the change of policy to KFA that is set forth in your packets. Because the board has just voted to suspend the requirements for a first and second reading of the proposed revisions, this change to policy KFA will take effect immediately upon your approval, governing board approval.
Do we have it pulled up? Do we have it, so I don't know if.
Are you asking about the KFA policy?
Can we pull that up?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
in,
have it with- I'm just wondering, I want to make sure everyone understands it, and whether on video or here.
yeah, so it's
Can you
pulled,
see it?
it's
There it
pulled up
is.
right there. And basically, the change that is occurring is if you go to the, is there in red now displayed on the monitor. So, if you read the top part of the policy, it says a person may also interfere with or disrupt the district function by committing any of the following, and it has all these bulleted pieces.
Gotcha.
When we get to that last bulleted piece, it says carrying or possessing a weapon on school grounds. We added the piece of district administrative buildings or any other district property, which was missing in the policy. Unless the individual is the peace officer or has obtained specific authorization from the appropriate school administrator.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions? No. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to move that we approve the adoption of policy KFA as revised.
I second the motion.
Roll call?
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Nunez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Request for executive session?
Ms. Quintero?
Yes.
I'd like to move that we approve the governing board members recess into executive session for discussion of as pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A3 and pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A7.
I second the motion.
And roll call?
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez? Ms. Nunez? Ms. Nunez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye. See you all soon. Sorry, you hit your knee? Ouch, that hurts.
Very fun.
We're back. Like, suggestion for future agenda items?
You don't,
No.
Not at this time.
Unfinished business? Motion to adjourn?
Second motion?
Roll call?
Ms. Dong?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez? Ms. Nunez?
Aye.
Ms. Quintero?
Aye. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Okay.